Episode 3. Slamming Kicks, the way of the Stank!
All right, yo, welcome back on the way of the Stank. In this episode, what we're going to do is focus a bit on kick drum philosophy, how to customize your kicks, how to make unique, distinguishable kicks that are only made by you, right? So one main philosophy that I always try to keep in mind, something that I learned, I think during the time while I was making the sign-in EP, was I was always having a really difficult time trying to get my kick drums, my bass instrument, to not only work with each other but work within the mix as a whole. And during that time, I was working very closely with a sound engineer. And so one of the solutions he came up for helping me with my kick drums was to first always start off with a much more generic, clean, round kick sound. Very often with hip hop music, R&B music, urban music, we try, you always hear these really prolific kick sounds. It's like has a boom to it, a big thump to it, or whatever kind of sound that it is. And often us broke producers are always trying to emulate that sound by maybe stacking like 3 to 4 bass kick drums on top of each other. And I realized that actually that creates more problems than it does solutions. But I do use more than one kick drum, but I use it in a way where you're only kind of using each drum for the actual characteristics that it has. So you preserve the characteristics and try to get rid of everything else. So looking into what we have here, what I've done is I just made another track, which I'm going to kind of copy and paste the kick drum pattern into. And so if you just listen to the kick drum that's here, I got lucky. I found a pretty clean, round, thick, heavy kick drum sound. And this one happens to be from a bank of instruments that's supposed to be from a live drum set. But this works for me. This will do. And so what I would do with this, the method that I would use here is that I would take this kick drum and just take off a lot of the top end, as you see, as I've already done. I'm going to try and experiment and just take off some more. There's also a bit of a tail on there. I want to get rid of that as well. Maybe I can do that here. Yeah. So I'll take a little bit off with a gate, I guess. Not really. It's not doing what I want it to do. So I'll just take that back down. That's better. All right. First it was this, and now it's that. First one. Now it's this. All right, it's a little tighter. All right, so that's all I wanted to do. Get a little tighter, but it's really deep in the frequency. And now what I did is I found another kick that's very loud and very prolific. Right. So if I were to use this by itself, eventually it's going to cause a problem for me. But what I'm going to do is, and I'm just going to let me just see what happens if I just copy and paste this into here. Nothing. I just had to move it up one. So it's pretty loud. It's pretty prolific, I guess you could say. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take off all the low end. And then I'm going to bring back this other one. And then try and set that into the mix of, just try and set like a basic level. I don't want to spend too much time on it. And so that's one basic method that you can use. So the first thing that you always want to try and remember, if you're having a hard time trying to get your kick to work in your song, the first thing to try to do is just try to locate a very generic, clean, deep, thick, round kick drum sound. You can find that with house music banks, electro house kind of stuff. They usually have that. Usually, often they'll come with like a very kind of clicky sound on the top end, but you can always just take that stuff out and then work with whatever kicks that really kind of stick out to your ear that seem to fit the sound of whatever it is that you want, right? And so that is one of the main methods that I usually use when I'm trying to get a nice kick drum sound. There's also another part of it called side chaining, and I'm going to cover that in another episode. But that's the main thing right here. So it's about, using, you can use more than one, of course, but mainly you want to find a round, nice, thick kick sound that you can work with. And from there, you can always build on top of that and see what works and what doesn't, right? So that is the way of the Stank. Thanks for watching. Come back next week. Oops.